Acting can be demanding on the body and the mind. For these stars, however, things got so stomach-churning on set they lost their lunch while filming. When an actor unexpectedly sends chunks flying on the set of a horror movie, it might not come as much of a surprise. But unexpected oral expulsions can occur on the set of just about any genre of film, as Zoe Deutsch proved while making the Netflix romantic comedy Set It Up. Speaking of Hello Giggles in 2018, Deutsch talked about her commitment to the role of Harper, a disgruntled assistant looking to get even with her overbearing boss. For a big pizza eating scene, she even went so far as to devour 4 full pizzas rather than spit out each bite between takes, as is common when filming such a scene. Expressing her initial excitement about the scene, she explained, "It was an awesome opportunity to eat pizza, which if you know me, you know I love pizza and I love pasta." She even asked for a specific pizza from a favorite restaurant. But while director Claire Scanlon implored her to use a spit bucket, Deutsch refused. Before long, things went south. As Deutsch explained, "I threw up violently halfway through the scene, and then I had to proceed to be very close to Glenn Powell, who now, I think, looks at me in a very different light." So that was something that happened.
I'm a lady.
It's one thing when an actor wants to overindulge in filming a food scene, but it's an entirely different matter when it isn't the actor's choice. In fact, in the case of a now famous scene in The Wolf of Wall Street, one actor's major upchuck happened after a co-star flipped the script in an impromptu moment of improvisation. That star was Leonardo DiCaprio, and it happened when filming a scene when he and co-star Jonah Hill were eating a selection of sushi. While appearing on Conan, director Martin Scorsese explained that the scene as written had Hill's character scooping up the last piece of sushi. But in an unplanned ad-lib, Hill offered the final piece to DiCaprio, who quickly gobbled it up. Really liking the unscripted moment, Scorsese kept it in, but had to film dozens of additional takes in the next few hours. Of course, ever the committed actor, the former Titanic star ate piece after piece of yellowtail sushi. Hill recalled the excursion in an interview with Entertainment Weekly.
He had to eat like all night, eat pieces of sashimi all night, and then by the end of the night he was on the floor throwing up into a waistband.
Nausea is one of the issues of filming in zero-gravity environments that actors rarely bring up. For example, though none of the cast of Apollo 13 lost their lunch, a cameraman vomited all over Kevin Bacon on set due to the strange sensations of filming in zero-G. Sadly, a similar and more catastrophic event occurred involving nearly the entire cast of Top Gun Maverick decades later. As it happens, Monica Barbaro and Jay Ellis, playing fighter pilots nicknamed Phoenix and Payback, were apparently the only 2 actors to not make a mess of their cockpits while filming those very real zero-G fight scenes. When asked by Glamour who on set threw up, Barbaro recalled, "A lot of people. Honestly, my hat goes off to them because the idea of throwing up regularly and then continuing this job is just insane to me. They had to throw up and recover and keep filming." As Barbaro tells it, her steely stomach was a result of years of dance training. As a result, she'd acclimated to the sensations of being upside down and would practice headstands before flights in preparation for the zero-gravity scenes. Millie Bobby Brown's breakout role as Eleven on the Netflix original sci-fi thriller series Stranger Things made her one of the biggest stars in Hollywood almost overnight. Playing the enigmatic young girl with otherworldly psychic powers required her to participate in daring stunt work as she manipulates objects and fights monsters. One of those stunts caused Brown to vomit when she was asked to be part of some wild wire work. She explained to The Sun, "I don't like climbing, and falling makes me feel sick. I'm really bad at motion sickness. On Stranger Things and Damsel, if I do it one too many times, I'm outside vomiting and everybody's like, 'Oh God, Millie.' I'm a nightmare." On her Instagram page in 2019, she posted a behind-the-scenes shot of the Netflix series where she can be seen hooked up to stunt wires. Her caption made it clear it wasn't an easy sequence to film, admitting that she threw up just moments after the shot was taken. Surprisingly, the stunt in question wasn't part of one of the more disgusting scenes in Stranger Things. Instead, it involved Eleven tumbling head over heels in the air, a dramatic reaction to using her psychic powers to find season antagonist Billy. Still, the experience didn't dissuade Brown from doing wire work again on her 2024 Netflix film Damsel. After starring in one of the biggest movies of all time with The Avengers, Mark Ruffalo kicked off another movie series in 2013 with Now You See Me. In the film, Ruffalo plays Dylan Rode, an FBI agent on the hunt for a team of criminal magicians played by Woody Harrelson, Isla Fisher, Jesse Eisenberg, and Dave Franco. Following the revelation that Rhodes was a magician himself, the film's sequel sees Ruffalo get a bit more action, including a major fight scene. Unfortunately, all that action led to Ruffalo getting seriously sick. Appearing on Today while promoting the movie, Ruffalo revealed that after a stunt where he had to emerge from almost drowning, his co-stars cringed when he vomited all over himself. But according to Ruffalo, Harrelson at least shouldn't have been so surprised. Ruffalo had eaten a piece of the True Detective star's vegan cheesecake beforehand. Already feeling queasy, Ruffalo went into the water for a scene where his character nearly drowns and then emerges from the water coughing. As Ruffalo tells it, he swallowed a bit too much water while submerged and vomited as a result.
All of a sudden I'm coughing, and then all of a sudden I'm I'd throw up.
Sydney Sweeney, breakout star of HBO's Euphoria, joined the superhero ranks in 2023 when she was cast in Sony's Spider-Man-less Spider-Verse entry Madam Web. There, she starred as future Spider-Woman Julia Cornwall. The film was a huge flop, both critically and commercially, but the movie's failure hasn't bothered Sweeney. Instead, the thing that probably upset Sweeney the most about Madam Web was the day she vomited on set due to harsh conditions and some uncomfortable costuming. As she explained to Cosmopolitan, "I had a wig, so it was a whole other process. That wig was so hot. We were filming in Boston in the middle of the summer. It was one of the hottest days, and we were in the middle of filming, and I go, 1 second, and I turn around and I just started throwing up." Impressively, Sweeney recovered quickly, reporting that the combination of the extreme heat and blonde wig caused her to overheat, triggering a sudden bout of nausea. Although probably not the same kind that audiences had when they saw the critically bulked movie in theaters. In addition to an Oscar-winning acting career, Angelina Jolie is also a director. She helmed the 2014 drama Unbroken, which tells a remarkable true story of Louis Zamperini, an Olympic runner who became a Japanese prisoner of war during World War II while serving in the U.S. Army Air Forces. Jack O'Connell plays Zamperini, while Japanese pop star Miyavi plays his brutal prison camp commander. For Miyavi, the dramatic story of Zamperini's captivity was such an emotional experience that it gave him an upset stomach, which he emptied all over the set. Speaking with Vanity Fair, he explained that to get into character, he had to find the most painful thoughts he could conjure up, saying, "It was awful torture for me to hate the other actors. I had to have hatred for them. When I had to beat them, I had to think about protecting my family. At the same time, I didn't want to just be a bad guy. I wanted to put humanity in this role." Miyavi credited Jolie with helping him get his peak performance through all of his roiling emotions. He reflected, "It's a story that is still painful for my country, but she told me she wanted to make a bridge between all countries that had conflict. She was very persuasive." Jake Gyllenhaal is the kind of actor who can do it all. From critically acclaimed thrillers to romantic comedies, Gyllenhaal is just at home in a gritty Oscar-winning drama as he is in a big-budget popcorn flick. However, he may have found the Marvel Cinematic Universe a little unsteady because the actor told the Graham Norton Show he threw up right in the middle of a scene after Spider-Man himself, Tom Holland, mentioned that he had a stomach bug during the day of filming.
I was very nauseous throughout the day, and in the middle of one of the takes, I threw up.
Sensing a deep discomfort among the guests and audience, Gyllenhaal then jokingly tried to claim that the scene was used in the final cut, and that Marvel had CGI'd the vomit out of the shot. Whether this is true or not, Holland is likely to never let Gyllenhaal live the incident down. The 2018 survival drama Adrift may have floated under most people's radar, but it's a film that star Shailene Woodley isn't likely to forget. Co-starring Sam Claflin, Adrift chronicles the experiences of a real-life couple who were lost at sea amid Hurricane Raymond in 1983. Set almost entirely within the confines of a small boat on the open ocean, the boat and ocean could have been fully CG, but director Baltazar Kormákur opted to do it for real. And as Woodley reported on Jimmy Kimmel Live, that didn't sit well with her stomach.
It was terrible sometimes. The days where everyone got seasick and couldn't stop puking, those were not fun days.
Nearly everyone in front of and behind the camera was affected, with the notable exceptions of Kormákur and their cinematographer. Woodley claimed that while everyone was hurling overboard, it was hard to actually make the film because so many members of the crew were incapacitated between shots. This compilation just goes to show how far folks in the film industry will go to get the shot. History has shown that live-action movies based on video games are tough to get right. So when the racing franchise Gran Turismo got the feature film treatment, producers opted to tell the true story of Jan Mardenborough, a Gran Turismo video game player who embarks on a real racing career. The leading role was played by Archie Madekwe, who didn't have any racing experience, let alone a driver's license. He did at least have time to train behind the wheel before suiting up on the track, though even practice couldn't help his upset stomach. Speaking with Empire magazine, he reflected, "You very quickly realize whether you're built correctly for being a race car driver or not, and I am not." According to the actor, there were multiple times when he'd have to take a quick break to throw up outside of his race car. And while that may sound like a lot for your first time behind the wheel, Madekwe told the outlet it may be his last as he hasn't driven since. If there's any horror movie set that you'd expect to have turned into a literal vomitorium, it's the set of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a 1974 splatter shocker that kicked off the American slasher subgenre. It was also one of the first films to make its cast sick from the sheer horror of the subject matter and wretched working conditions. The 2019 Joseph Lanza book, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the film that terrified a rattled nation, covers the horrific nature of the production, which was almost as bad as the on-screen horror. According to Lanza, the filming location of Round Rock, Texas saw temperatures reaching 115 degrees, and the film's climactic dinner table scene was compressed into a single non-stop 26-hour shoot. Cast members couldn't wash their wardrobes for continuity reasons, and rotting animal carcasses littered the location and set. Trapped inside the house sets when temps were at the worst, the cast suffered through heat and humidity so unbearable that they had to take breaks to catch their breath and empty their stomachs as well. Soon after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre came the Halloween franchise, another slasher series about a masked killer and his often teenage victims. Like Texas Chainsaw, the Halloween franchise has plenty of disturbing themes that continue to scare audiences decades after its first installment. For the fifth film, 1989's Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers, it wasn't the horrific nature of the violent story that upset child star Danielle Harris. Instead, it was a vicious bout of food poisoning. Speaking with Channel Guide magazine, Harris recalled, "There is a scene in Halloween 5 where I'm running in front of a car and through the woods before Michael Myers smashes the car into a tree. In between running and screaming and crying, as soon as they would yell 'cut,' I would throw up." But even at just 11 years old, the actor was determined to power through and give the best performance she could. She recalled, "You've got to work. Production doesn't stop for you. That just shows you how excited I was and how much I wanted to be there and do my job and run from Michael Myers." Whether because of food poisoning, the disturbing nature of a scene, or the queasiness brought on by a topsy-turvy stunt, vomiting on sets is clearly not an uncommon occurrence in Hollywood. But for Johnny Lee Miller, it wasn't any of those reasons that caused him to do the Technicolor yawn. Instead, it was the raw emotion of being reunited with a cast of old friends for the first time in decades. It happened on the first day of rehearsals on the legacy sequel T2 Trainspotting, the long-awaited follow-up from the British cult classic from 1992 starring Miller, Ewan McGregor, Kelly MacDonald, Robert Carlyle, Ewan Brenner, and Kevin McKidd. As Miller recalled to Empire magazine, "I was so nervously excited and I ended up throwing up in the bathroom. It was like, nice to see you. I gotta go vomit." Considering their characters had all once been drug-addled drifters who'd often barf up a lung after a bender, puking felt somewhat on brand for a reunion. However, Miller joked that he hoped his co-stars didn't think he developed a real drug addiction as a result of his literal upheaval.